viewers. This is Vibhuti Jha, and this is Jaipur Dialogue USA. Welcome to the show. And today I wanted to talk to you. Before I start, I wanted to make the customary request. Please like, subscribe, and share the channel with everybody that you know. Give your feedback. And we will today talk about a very interesting story that emerged when Mr. Trump issued a statement, literally throwing bricks at bricks. So the first BRICS is BRICS, the second BRIC is BRICS, we know about. So the question is that he talked about that if BRICS countries float their own currency, they will face closure to the US market and they will face 100% tariff. It definitely shows that Mr. Trump recognizes the fact that dollar is in crisis. He recognizes this fact, and that's why he wants to maintain the supremacy of dollars, and which is part of any leader will do to protect and defend his or her constituency, his or her economic might, and things that made America great. It is very important. America's prosperity is deeply connected with the Bretton Woods, where dollar became the global currency. The use of dollar for oil purchases, the agreement with Saudi Arabia for petrodollars, so that every payment has to be made in dollars. These were all agreed upon, which made dollar the most sought after currency in the world for personal and financial and storage values. And you holding dollars in your pocket or in your safe was considered, or investment in dollars was considered the safest thing. It's no longer so. And there is a very important thing here that Trump is trying to do, President-elect Trump is trying to do, is to bring back the supremacy of dollar, because he knows that if the dollar loses and slips in the ranking and the usage, it will definitely impact the American ability to manage and service its $36 trillion debt. That's very important. The interest rate plays a big role there, because the interest rate going up or down increases the interest burden on the debt servicing of those $36 trillion debt. So what my suggestion to Mr. Trump would be, going forward would be, like you have talked about Make America Great Again, like Robert Kennedy Jr. is talking about Make America Healthy Again. Likewise, make dollar attractive again. That's my plan would be. Make dollar attractive again. It remains attractive anyway. It's not going to disappear. The use of word de-dollarization does not mean that dollar will evaporate and nobody will deal in it. No, that's not the purpose of de-dollarization. De-dollarization is nothing else but repositioning of dollar in international trade and payment settlements, most of them that happen in dollars. So the question here is, how do we make dollar attractive again? See, there are many steps that President Trump needs to do. And why this entire mechanism started off in the first place. The alternate payment and settlement, trade settlements happened because dollar was becoming, America was becoming very arrogant and bullying in dealing with international leaderships. Now look, politics will always lead to clashes, divergence of interests, disagreements on dealing with challenges. This will always happen. It is absolutely imperative that these kind of differences will persist. India made nuclear weapons, US sanctioned it. So the question is, one lives with the consequences of their own decisions and choices they make. So when dollar is the reserve currency for the whole world, and people are holding their assets and investments and transactions in dollars, you suddenly impose or threaten a country with sanctions and seizing their assets. That creates the urge that, hey, my only dependence with this in this entire thing is because my reserves, my assets, my fortune is stuck in dollars. And then people begin to find alternatives for that. Now, in this particular instance, what has happened also is, in the last as many years, we have seen massive expansion in technology, right? You no longer wait for as many days for something to happen. You can make things happen. You can make payments happen online in a matter of minutes to millions and millions of dollars. You can do that. It is technology driven, not banking driven. I'm a banker, so I'm telling you this. So when the bankers issued a guarantee or a letter of credit, bank becomes a checking point for every trader, every exporter and importer. Now I don't need the bank to give me a letter of credit. You know, these instruments are gradually slipping in their importance, because now I can talk to, check the statements myself, and take a decision how I pay, in what currency I pay. The means of settlements of trade and payment mechanisms have changed dramatically. And that's what is people are saying. Why don't I deal in our own currency, bilateral payments? So payment mechanisms have emerged basically to reduce the dependence on dollar. Dollar is not going to disappear, but it will remain the primary currency in to deal with. No doubt about that. Because America is a very strong country. It's a resource rich country. I have often said, don't run America down. Don't discount America, because America is a huge country, 3 times larger than India if you include Alaska and Hawaii, and one-fourth the population. This comparison is very relevant to understand the challenge. And America is a resource-rich country, great infrastructure in place. And because America is rich in resources, it can command a premium in the global economy. And as the largest consumer nation in the world, it becomes a destination for many countries to do business with America. So it would be wise on behalf of Mr. Trump that he has given the great slogan, which he borrowed from Ronald Reagan, peace with strength, right? You do not want to have, you do not want to emerge as a bully. And that statement of Mr. Trump, that there will be 100% tariff and this will not be allowed, we will shut down all the imports in the country, it almost tantamounts to being bullying others to submit to the American requirement. Now, this was something which the master negotiator he is, I would have I would have thought that he would be wiser and smarter about it. But there are many issues on which America is hurting itself. Now, we all know that America runs a trade deficit of $36 trillion. If you and I had that, debt to income ratio, nobody will give us a penny worth of credit. But US is able to print its notes. It's the fiat currency. Everybody needs it. So we have the ability, United States has the ability to print notes as much as it wants, to fund a war, to fund a war, or to do to all the pork barrel projects that politicians bring about from time to time. And they're crazy projects. So that's the reason, that is the reason to reduce the obesity of financial obesity of America, that Trump has sought the help of Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to establish an entity called Department of Government Efficiency. Wherever there is waste of money, we have to cut it. And we just recently must have seen that US government is paying government of Pakistan millions of dollars to house illegal immigrants in this country, in New York City. Think about the absurdity of the arrangement that we have been doing. So that is one thing important. There is a lot of monetary and fiscal, profligacy that goes on in America, unfortunately. If you have seen that famous movie called Dave, in which, an accidental president calls his accountant to solve the budgetary problem, and they solve the problem by cutting down on wasteful expenditures. America has to come to terms with that reality, that the amount of things that we did because we just were able to print notes is going out of the window. We do not anymore have that ability, or it is not in our interest to do so, because all that we are going to do is increase our deficits. The other aspect is very important, that when you sanction and seize assets of people, that puts away a lot of people, that why would I keep money in dollars? So if you are going to sanction Iran, say for example, but many countries are doing business with Iran. So the problem is Iranian problem cannot become a global problem for everybody else. Yes, terror, Hezbollah, and all those things are one side of the story. But you cannot sanction a China or a Japan or an India or a companies of these countries because they have been doing business with that country for a long time. So if you are trying to punish X, and in that process you have to punish your friends who are Y, A, B, C, it becomes very unfair. So when you have to sanction, you have to remember how it is to be used. Seizure of asset is one such thing in which the Russians, when they found their assets were seized and their bank accounts were frozen in dollars, and the interest earned on that is funding Ukraine war, do you think Russia likes it? Nobody will like it. If United States is sanctioned by any other country, by just stopping the trade, for example, China can do that. If China begins to say that we will stop the supply of goods and services and everything that comes to America for next 7 days, that would hurt American economy big time. So we have to become cognizant of this fact that we are living in a remarkably interconnected world where interdependency is very huge. Something we did not know earlier on, now we know. That's the difference. It was happening all the time, but now we know that our assets can be seized. So I don't want to keep in dollar. I would rather be keeping in Australian currency or a Singapore currency or a Chinese yuan or Indian rupees for that matter. So the question here is America has to become very judicious and wise about how you sanction and whose assets you seize, because people then will have a response to that. The other part, which is very important, is that US ability to print notes has been the main cause where we have seen the proliferation of many projects in America which do not merit any money. You can Google and see the number of projects where various politicians use for their own constituency. Now, India, you cannot do that because you run into deficit and people will know about it. There also it happens. But in this country, you have projects which are totally bizarre in nature. And that's where Vivek is talking about. That's what Elon Musk is talking about, that money has to be used efficiently and effectively. So instead of throwing bricks at BRICS, I would urge Mr. Trump to recognize that the BRICS combined is bigger in size, in people, in money, in resources, and the size of the economy of BRICS is larger than G7 and many European countries put together. So bear that in mind, because what you do not want to do is to force these countries to come together. At the moment, one thing is there that India doesn't favor a BRICS currency. So that particular question is out of conversation. There is no BRICS currency as yet. They are trying to frame it around a basket of real assets that will determine the value of a particular currency. So China is dominating the yuan part, the renminbi. So every country is worried about the Chinese conduct in this matter. If Chinese showed wisdom, they will hurt a dollar a lot. And that's what is a fear that American economy is going through. So to reduce the financial obesity of the American economy, you have Department of Government Efficiency that will talk about how to cut the waste in American fat that we have assembled around our waistline in the American economy. So, Mr. Trump, you are a master negotiator. People have very good expectations from you. You are a man of your words. You are not a classic politician who says something at election time as an election gimmick. You are serious about your intent. So, as an art of negotiation, you need to talk to BRICS as allies, not as confrontationists. So, with these words, I will end my conversation today. Satyamev Jayate, truth must prevail, and for truth to prevail, we need to fight for it. Thank you very much for watching today.